lift up verses 3 and 4. For although we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God. Through who? God. Through God. To the pulling down of strongholds. If I could today, I want to preach to you from the title, Who You Fighting?
Who you fighting?
Look at your neighbor and ask him, who you fighting?
Who you fighting?
Don't go far, Bishop, I'm almost there. Corinthians, when Paul wrote to Corinthians, the church at Corinth, it was just after Corinth had been captured by the Roman army. The city was destroyed and all the stuff that was in the city had basically been torn apart and the city was being rebuilt. But Corinth was a city that was known, if I were to liken it to a city today that we all know, it was kind of like Las Vegas.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, Brother King?
Yes, sir.
You know, like, oh my gosh. You go to Corinth if you wanted to party. That was the place to go hang out. If you wanted to find yourself a good-looking guy or good-looking girl, you go down to Corinth. Now, Corinth was also on the waterfront. So all the sailors would come in to Corinth, and when they came in and they finished their work, they were looking to have a good time. You know what I'm talking about, Sister Laverne? They were looking for a party at Corinth. And you know what I'm saying? I ain't got to say that if a man was on the sea for 6 months with a bunch of boys on the boat, and he came into Corinth, he was looking for a particular kind of party. Y'all looking at me like y'all don't know, but y'all looking at me like y'all don't go to church in Hunts Point. They were looking for a party when they came to Corinth. And in Corinth, there was a particular type of god that was worshipped there. The goddess Aphrodite. And Aphrodite had a big temple. And in Aphrodite's temple, it was said that there was over 1,000 prostitutes in Aphrodite's temple.
Jesus.
That's worse than Hunts Point. Jesus. There was 1,000 of them in Aphrodite's temple. Now you know the theory of supply and demand. Supply and demand, the theory of supply and demand says that the only way that you will have that kind of supply is if there was that kind of demand. So that ought to tell you something about the people that were coming to Corinth. They were looking for a good time. My grandmother was the grandmother of 15 grandchildren. And oftentimes when she saw us fighting amongst ourselves, she would get very angry at us.
Yes, Lord.
She would say things like, don't you know your family? Don't you know your blood? What are you doing fighting one another? And as it were, because we were kids, we would not heed the words of Grandma, but we would find ourselves fighting again.
Wow.
Well, one day, me and my cousin Timothy, we only a couple of years apart, we're in the backyard having a humdinger. We are going at it. He pushed me, I push him back. He grabbed my shirt, I grabbed his pants, and next thing you know, we going at it. And here comes Grandma out the back door with her cane. Now, when Grandma was coming with the cane, you know there was a problem about that happening. And she comes running out with the cane, and she knocks both of them, bang, bang. And that was just with one swing, bang, bang. Granny was nice with the cane. And she said, what are you boys fighting about? And I looked at her and I said, Granny, there's a girl across the street, she's pretty and I like her. And my cousin said, but Granny, I saw her first. And she said, the two of you are out here fighting each other over some little nappy-head girl across the street? Then I said, oh, hair's not nappy. And my grandma said, come inside this house. And she sat us down to begin the lecture. Now she's lecturing us. We're still fighting, pushing each other. And she said, you know what? You boys are stupid. And she looks outside the window and she said, look across the street. And we go to the window, we look across the street, and there she is walking down the street holding another boy's hand. And we both sat down, bumps on the head, scratches on our face, sweating tired, mad. And my grandma said, let me teach you a little lesson. You see, when you're in the same family or when you're on the same team, you can't fight one another. Why is that, Grandma? Because if you are fighting one another, then your enemy is taking what belongs to you in the middle of your fight. While we as children of God are fighting one another, the devil is stealing our prize. He's stealing our prize because when we fight one another, we are fighting a physical fight. When we argue with one another, we are using words that hurt the physical. And while we are doing that, the devil is stealing the spiritual. Can I preach here to somebody? The devil wants your mind to be off of the spiritual because he does not want you focused on what God has for you. If you are on the physical and you are fighting in the physical, he is then able to become a spiritual pickpocket. Anybody know about the pickpockets? They used to go on the train and wait for your attention to be focused in another direction. And as soon as you were looking to the left, they would come and bump you on the right. And you would not notice what the pickpocket was doing because something else has already gotten your attention. While you are fighting your brothers and your sisters, you have just created a diversion for the devil. And while you are fighting and the devil has your attention elsewhere, he is looking to stick his clammy hands in your spiritual pocket and take the very thing that God has prepared for you. Not only is he taking what he has prepared for you, but what happens is what God has prepared for the church. Y'all ain't praying with me here. What he has prepared for the church has been set in the hands of the people. God can't put the blessing for the church in the building. He has to put the blessing for the church with the people. And so the reason why some of us on the left are not blessed is because some of us on the right is fighting. Y'all ain't praying here. The reason why some of us on the left ain't healed is because some on the right is fighting. And the healing that's on the right, while we're fighting, the devil has picked it out of our pockets. And so the folks on the left are struggling. What I'm trying to tell you is the more we fight one another, the less we have strength to fight the devil. Because by the time we get to the devil, we're already bruised, we're already broken, we're already tired, we've got a black eye and a bloody nose. Why don't you give God praise? and yell no more. There ain't gonna be no more physical war anymore. But I wonder if I can get a few spiritual warriors. I wonder if I can get a few people who know how to get down on their knees. Say, Lord, 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 I need you. I wonder if I got a few people that know how to say I'm hungry, but I ain't gonna eat. I'm gonna feast on the word. I wonder if I got a few warriors who know how to look the devil in his face and say, devil, I'm coming against you. In the name of Jesus, there's no war going on, and I'm not afraid to fight. I'm going to be afraid to fight the world, and I'm not going to be afraid to fight this house. If I gotta die, let me die. I'm in the army of the Lord. If I perish, let me perish, but I'm back for the king. Let me explain to you something about divine leadership and apostolic succession. It starts from the top and it goes down. There's a new preaching anointing in the house.
Yes.
You got in at the end of the wave, and you're going to be blessed just because you're catching something. It's called timing. You ever seen somebody, they've been looking for a job for years, can't find nothing, somebody get out of college, and they're at the right place at the right time, and they get a good job.
Yes.
Young brother in my fraternity walked out of college, went on a job interview that somebody else hooked him up with, got hired, $60,000 a year. He's 21 years old. I said, where'd you find out about that job? He said, just somebody told me. It was in the newspaper. And I got it. That's favor.
Come on.
Walked out and bumped it. Some of y'all getting ready to bump into favor.
Come on.
You gonna bump into. Whose favor am I bumping into? You bumping into my favor. You bumping into my mother's favor, my wife's favor.